Hello everyone, I'm Ula Jacobs. Welcome to my channel, and today I'd like to speak about universal law of free will. And we only need to look at what we do each day from the moment we get up until the time we retire for the day to understand how many choices we get to make in a day, and they're all free will choices. But I have to say, when I first learned about all these laws back in the 90s, I was challenged by this one right off the bat. And it had come about because I was working with a group of people to try and stop the gypsy broth spray for our whole region here. And we lobbied municipalities, we sent letters, we had rallies to bring it to the public, and little by little, the one I'm in, the municipality that I am in, was the first to say, okay, maybe this wasn't such a good idea. We have a lot of growers here, we have a lot of farmers here, and all of them were up in arms because of what was coming. And they listened. Our municipality actually listened and said, okay, this is what the people want, so okay, we're opting out. And then they opted out, and then not soon thereafter, a couple of other municipalities also opted out. And of course, this then came to the attention of the provincial government. We were all elated in the group saying, hey, something happened here. We did something good here, and we actually stopped this thing. No. The provincial government came along and did what they called at that time an order in council and said, sorry, people, we're doing this. That's it, we're doing this. And went against all the free will of all the people that had gone to say that this was not a good idea. And I immediately, when that happened, I went to my guides and I said, hey, this is against my free will here. And if this universal law really actually works, how come it's happening when there's so many people spoke up, so many people had their free will stepped on? Why? And the first thing they said to me was, you agreed to this before coming into body. This was one of the possibilities that you saw could happen, and you stepped in and agreed to come in anyways into physicality. And I thought about that for quite some time, and I thought, okay, well, if that's the case, then my free will was not stepped on because I agreed to this, and also then it's part of universal law, which was the thing that I was wondering about at that time. And the other thing I said on spray day, I was upstairs looking out the window, watching the entire region get flooded with this BTK spray. And I said, oh, the children, because that was my biggest concern as well, is that this gets sprayed in every backyard, every playground, everywhere. And they have immune systems that are not completely mature yet. So, what can you do here? And when I said that, my guides immediately said, they're indigos. And I already knew what indigos were, so that was good. I understood right away, okay, maybe they're coming in differently with a different makeup. They did have an aura apparently that was indigo, a dark blue, and perhaps this could be a protection for them somehow. So I thought, okay, I'm good with that, and that was appeased for the moment, and away we went, and that was the end of that. But it taught me a lot. It taught me that the free will of the people is not necessarily upheld at any given moment in time where a government regency is at work. So, okay, job done there. So the other thing about the free will aspect that we have is that we can help for spirit input from our guides, but because there is a free will for us, they are not allowed to act unilaterally, because they could be acting in one way against what we were deciding we wanted. So there's this law that they cannot act unless we ask them to come in and help with whatever it is that we need help with. And I have also a moment in time, this was during the journey back to health, which is a whole other video, whereby I got to the point where I was so fed up with trying to manage an illness and get over it and get better, and it wasn't working, one thing after another, but it worked for a while but didn't work, and that's all explained in the other video. But at one point, towards the end of it, I finally said, someone has to be able to help me with this. And at that point, an entire thing shifted for me, because a bunch of things presented it to themselves, to me and to other people, that allowed me to make free will choices to go step by step by step. Each one that led me finally to an iridologist that decided that I didn't have what they said I had, and then to a naturopath, which actually helped to get me through this, to the other side of this, and then get me into another way of thinking about everything. So that was a free will choice all the way along still, but it got me to where I needed to go once I asked for help. And that was important to understand at the time, and I still understand it now, that I had to ask for help, and have asked for help many times since, and as always with a really great outcome as well. The other thing about free will is also that we can banish any kind of entities that are bothering us, that come to harm or to upset or to distract. And that one became very, very clear to me when I was writing my second book, which is called They Call Me Jesus, a Name That Was Never Mine. And it presents a whole different way of looking at Jeshua ben Joseph, who came in all those 2,000 plus years ago to teach us the principles of universal law. And when I started writing that book, all sorts of things came to me, just in the night mostly, and they were not pleasant. And I used my free will choice to banish them each and every time, and there was a lot of it. And even to one point where I had already gone to print and appeared at night was something that I would have thought would kind of depict what the devil would look like. And at that point in time, I never ever thought that it existed. I thought it was a figment of people's imaginations. But when I saw that in my room, I knew that this was something that existed somewhere. And I used that free will choice to immediately banish it out of there, and loudly and clearly, and told it never to come back. So that's the other ability that free will gives us. It is like all the other laws, it's there for us to use in any way that we feel is needed. And I, at one point earlier on again, when I was still learning all this stuff, I kind of wondered out loud, does it exist on the other side, on our home front, which I call the other side, but it's basically our home front where we go between incarnations. So asking questions like that, an answer is always presented, maybe not the same day, maybe not the next, but it always comes. So when it came was when I tried to contact my father, who had passed over already, and he wouldn't come. And this was very unusual because we'd been in touch before. And when I pushed and I said, hey, come on, let's talk, his guides came along and they took their arms up like this and prevented an entire barrier for me to not be able to get to where he was. And I thought about that, and I thought that's really unusual, because he had had a near-death experience when he was a little child. He was out of body, and he knew it. And he also knew that there was more to life than what we had been told in normal life. So this was interesting. He was very, very, very evolved spiritually. And I thought, well, this is really odd, because there's no reason why he would not want to come through to speak. And I thought about it later, and I thought about it and thought about it some more, and then I thought, oh, he was showing me. He was showing me that free will existed on the other side, and that I was trying to get him to speak with me, and he was using his free will choice to say no. And when I understood that, I thought, okay, he's teaching me this. So I understand it now, and that's awesome. And I should have known, because, I mean, universal law, the name alone should have upheld that. But as I say, it was the early days, and I was still learning to do this, and I kind of pushed along to try and see, is this real or is this not real, and every single time that I did that, I always came away with the thought that, oh yeah, this exists, and I have other stories, but not right now. But anyway, he now comes, my dad now comes back to me every now and then to guide me with things or tell me things that I maybe need to know. And he also presented another interesting point as well, which was that he said he is no longer my dad. He said that's who I was when I was in body. And when I dropped that costume, which is what we do, I now go back home and I'm no longer that incarnation or any of the other hundreds or thousands that I've had before, because I am now the pure light of the Creator gone home with the Creator. And the persona that was left here is not what I am anymore. And that really actually opened my eyes at that time too, to understand that part of it, because yes, it's very true. When we step out of body here and go back home, maybe to come in again and plan that or not, the actual incarnation that we left behind is done. It's like leaving a stage after a play. I mean, you're not that actor anymore. You're the actor, but you're not in that part anymore. So I thought that was really, really interesting too, and that came at a time when I didn't know that either. So I've learned a lot along the way from my father alone, and since this is Father's Day, it's kind of apropos to even talk about him. So it's kind of neat, and I do miss him. We all have guides, whether we believe it or not, and some of them have come in. One of them, I know for sure, has come in and been with every incarnation that there's been, and then others come and go as we need them, depending on what we're into and what expertise is needed, so that other guides come in to actually just do what needs to be done at that point, what we're doing, what we're dealing with, or what we're doing, or what knowledge we need, basically. And having seen a couple of my guides, I understand that this is true, and from my point of view, it is definitely real. People are able to use their free will choice to either believe that or not, and that's fine with me because we all have that. But the information that I get from my guides is always supportive and positive. And I've heard people say that if it's not, then there's something else going on. But I've never had that. With any kind of questions or the answers coming, the information coming from the questions, it's always been uplifting and positive and right on, like that I find out later, right on, right on. So that's how it works for me. And then I know it's my guides too, because it's positive and it's coming from a framework of being positive. I've done a fair bit about incarnation and reincarnation here, so I think what I'll do is the next time I'll address reincarnation, coming into body and leaving the body under the law of transition. So I will hope that you'll join me for that, and for now, let's shake it up.